All right. Well, this is going to be a review of the 2025 NFHS Fast Pitch 201 Test Study Guide. I will do a review of 101, which you can look for, but 101 has not changed from last year. It is still the same test. However, several questions were changed on the 201. So let's jump into it and we will talk about it. These are the questions as they appear on the study guide. I've done a little bit of my own work on them. I will say that any misspellings or bad grammar in the questions are the way they appear in the study guide and on the test, from what I can see. So they really should be cleaned up, but have not been. Question number one. Prior to the contest, the plate umpire is required to ask each head coach, does your team have a healthcare professional authorized in concussion management? Choices are true and false, and the answer is true. And you can find the concussion protocol, WIAA, WOA concussion protocol document in the central hub, and it calls for all officials at all sports in the state of Washington to ask this question. I would note that when you ask that question, you need to get a yes or a no from the coach. If a coach says, "I sure hope so," or "I think so," or anything like that, just you need to clarify and say, "Is that a yes or a no?" I would also reiterate that having a healthcare professional available doesn't necessarily mean that they are right there planted at the site. If they are a phone call away, or if they are like on the complex, going between two or three different sports, all of that is allowable. We just need to know there is somebody that is on site who can look after a player. So the answer there is true. I had this question on the test and I got it correct. Number two, B2 enters the batter's box when the coach notifies her using his communication device that she is to bunt. And by communication device, that means the technology. So it's the coach talking into the batter's earpiece. Is this legal by the 2025 softball rules? And in fact, this is illegal. It cannot be used on offense or at bat. So that is reference 186. You'll want to check the exception. Again, I had this question on the test and got it correct. Number three, B1 hits a ground ball to F5 and beats the throw to first base, but doesn't touch the base. F3 catches the ball while in contact with first base, but makes no appeal. Now you have a runner missing a base. That is, by definition, an appeal play to get her out. Reference Rule 2110 says that if a player passes a base and misses the base, they are considered to have touched the base unless an appeal is made. So you need some indication by the defense that they want to appeal that the runner missed. And then you would call now. But until they do so, you would call B1 safe. Now, I did not have that on the test this year, but I did last year, and that answer was correct. Number four, with no runners on and no outs, B1, batter number one, has a 1-1 count, swings and hits the ball that nicks off of F2's glove, then strikes her helmet and deflects forward into fair territory, whereas caught in flight by a fielder, F1, the pitcher, it would seem. So what is this? Well, normally if a batter hits the ball and it goes up into the air and it's caught before it touches the ground, that would be an out. However, in Rule 224.1G, which I believe that in the guide it says 241G, but it's 24-1, that when the ball comes off the bat and it hits the catcher in their person or their gear, that it is then considered a foul ball. It's a dead ball. So it's a foul ball. The ball is dead. B1 remains at bat. Now with a 1-2 count because of the foul ball. Number five, question number five. Oh, and I had this one. If there's no green or yellow color on this, that means that I had this question on the test and I got it correct. Question number five. During the fourth inning, it is discovered that A23 is playing center field for A12. A23 did not report in as a substitute. Which of the following is true? We could eject A23, we could eject the coach in A23, we could assess no penalty. However, in NFHS rules, if there is a change to the lineup, in this case adding A23 to the lineup, then a team warning is issued to Team A. You make the correction in the lineup and you go on and play. This does, however, assume that A23 is legal to sub in and would not otherwise be an illegal substitution. Of course, if it's an illegal substitution, then we penalize the illegal substitution. But this assumes that A23 is a legal substitute. And so, team warning issued to Team A. Question 6. After the lineup cards are accepted at the pregame conference, Team A's coach tells the umpire that the DP will play defense for the flex. The flex is listed as the pitcher. This is a legal substitution, and in fact, you can check these rules, but especially 336D, which says that the flex, the DP can sub in for the flex. And then the flex is removed as a player from the game. The lineup goes down to 9, and on you go. So it is a legal substitution. Number 7, if the flex bats for the DP and the DP position, if the flex bats for the DP position is eliminated for the remainder of the game. This is false, although you do shrink the lineup back to 9 players because you no longer have a DP and flex. If the coach wanted to re-enter a player in the DP position, the flex could go down to the flex and there would be a DP flex again. So this idea that it's eliminated for the remainder of the game is false. Question number 8. To green here means that I didn't have it this year on this year's test. I had it on last year's test and I got it correct. Which of the following is true about re-entry by a flex who has left the game? If the flex has left and is now coming back in, the flex may re-enter one time and only in the 10th position in the lineup because the flex is always in the 10th position. And this is a Rule 336F. By the way, it assumes that we have the same player coming in for the flex. The flex position you can have multiple players sub in and become the new flex, but any one player can only re-enter the game once, and once they're removed a second time from the game, they're done for the rest of the game. Now, the coach could sub in somebody else to be the flex, and that flex could come in and out twice. But assuming that it's the same player for the flex, then this is true. Number 9, Team A has only 10 players and is using the DP flex option, which means all of their players in the lineup, there are no subs. In the 5th inning, the shortstop, who is not the DP or the flex, is injured and unable to continue playing. Which of the following is true? Well, what we can't do is move the DP or the flex into that position because we can't change the lineup. The game will continue and Team A will play with 9 defensive players. Why is that true? Because as long as the flex is out on defense, any other 8 players can be out there. We have one of them that's injured, but we still have 8 other players. So we have 9 flex plus 8 eligible to play defense. So we can field a full defensive team. However, when the shortstop's at bat comes up, the team will have to take an out by the shortstop, or will have to take an out when their shortstop cannot come up to their at bat. That's Rule 338B. Number 10, the DP may be substituted for at any time by, and in Rule 336D, it lists a legal substitute or the flex playing offense for the DP. So both A and B are correct. Number 11, in the bottom of the first inning, B2 enters the batter's box, and in the opinion of the umpire, or in the opinion of the umpire, intentionally intentionally removes the forward lines of the batter's box. The umpire should do which of the following? Now we have a rule 3617 that says that no player may intentionally cross out any lines. If you look at the penalty is this. You call a strike on the batter if it is in fact the batter that does it. The defense could also do it, in which you would call a ball on the batter. But in this case, the batter did it. So we're going to call a strike on the batter. A team warning, if they do it again, a team warning will be issued. Well, not if they do it again. You will call a strike on the batter. You'll issue a team warning. And then if it happens again, by any offensive player, somebody intentionally rubs out a line, then the offender and the head coach will be restricted to the dugout. That's a second offense. By the way, if it happens by the defense, the first time is a ball on the batter and a warning to the team. A second offense would be a ball on the batter, and the coach and the offender of the defensive team would be restricted to the dugout. Number 12, the pitcher steps onto the pitching plate with both hands together. By the way, illegal. You can't step onto the pitching plate with hands together. They have to be apart when you set your feet. Then they come together later. So that makes it illegal. Then the pitcher pauses, rocks back, delivers the pitch to the batter. Well, because the hands were together, this is an illegal pitch. Delayed dead ball, so we don't kill the play immediately. The batter may hit it and run in advance, and we would have other choices. But in this case, it is definitely an illegal pitch. We would put our left arm out and verbalize the illegal pitch, and then let the play resume. Number 13. The pitcher's pivot foot is in contact with the pitcher's plate, and the non-pivot foot is behind and outside the length of the pitcher's plate. And in the weird grammar wording of number 13 is legal. This is false. The foot cannot, before the pitch, be outside the 24-inch width of the pitching plate. So that is not legal. That would be false. Didn't have it this year. Did have it last year and got it correct. Number 14. The pitcher steps onto the pitching plate with her hands together. As we've already discussed, that makes it an illegal pitch. The plate umpire correctly signals delayed dead ball for the illegal pitch. Runner 1 is on first base, leaves the base before the release of the ball, which, by the way, would be a look-back rule. The base umpire calls dead ball and calls R1 out, which is correct when you have somebody who leaves a base early on the look-back rule. But we do have an illegal pitch. Normally in an illegal pitch, we would give the offense the option of taking result of the play or a ball on the batter. And but in this case, can the coach opt for a ball on the batter and negate the leaving early? And the answer is no. So the runner is out for leaving early. That is independent of the illegal pitch, which is a ball on the batter, because the umpire called dead ball and didn't allow a hit and advancement by the batter runner, it's a ball on the batter. Um, I do a little. Well, the rule reference is 612. It's not 611A. You want to look at the penalty and then the exception to the penalty. You also want to look at 8618, the penalty. This idea of leaving early or look back rule is not a play. Therefore, you can't refuse the results of the play because there was no play to review the results from. So we treat the illegal pitch and the leaving early as separate infractions. They are penalized independently. There's a lot to think about there, but the key is they're two separate things. You enforce them separately. Number 15, it is legal on a hot day, the pitcher, not in contact with the pitcher's plate, bends over, picks up a handful of dirt, throws the dirt down, and moves the ball to her hand without wiping the dirt off on the hand. So this was a change, a rule change a year or two ago that dirt is no longer considered a foreign substance. So all of this is legal, true. And you want to look at Rule 622, sub point A, and then the note that is there specifically says dirt is not a foreign substance. All right, number 16. B2 swings and hits the ball. She discards her bat as she runs to first base. The ball rolls into the bat, which is lying in fair territory. So what do we rule? We rule nothing because it is a live fair ball. In reference rule 7413, it talks about the bat hitting the ball, and there's a difference between the bat hitting the ball and the ball hitting the bat. If the bat is on the ground and it is still and it is not moving towards the ball and the ball hits it, then it's a nothing because the ball hit the bat. If the bat should hit the ball, that's interference. Say the runner throws the bat down and the bat, as the player's throwing it, the bat hits the ground, rolls and knocks the ball, hits the ball. That would be interference. That would be an out. But if the bat is just laying there and the ball hits it, we have a nothing. So it is a live fair ball. 17, with less than 2 outs and a runner on third, the batter intentionally interferes with the catcher as the runner on third is attempting to steal home. The batter is called out for interference and the runner is returned to third base. And that is a correct ruling. When the batter is the one who causes the interference, then the batter is the one who gets called out, and all other runners are returned to the base they last occupied at the time of the interference. So all of that is a correct ruling. There are some instances when you would, on an interference where you would call out the runner closest to home, but that's only on a non-running player or a runner who has been retired, who has been put out. So that we don't have either of those in this case, which means the batter is the one who is out. The runner goes back to third. Correct ruling. 18, B4 swings at a pitch when she tips the catcher's mitt with her bat. The ball is hit into the infield. Batter 4 reaches first base safely. There are no other runners on base. So the first thing we have to know is that B4 should be able to swing at the ball without the mitt in her way. So this is a catcher obstruction. And that, like all obstruction, is a delayed dead ball. And we wait to see what the result of the play is. In this particular case, the player who was obstructed before made it to first base safely. And and there are no other runners on base. So if we had the batter reaching first base safely and other runners advancing at least one base, in this case we don't have any, then C comes into effect. The catcher's obstruction is canceled and no option is given. That would be an option to the offensive coach. But obstruction happened, but it got canceled because everybody reached the next base. Number 19, with R1 on first base, B2 hits a line drive to F4, who catches the ball and attempts to throw. So F4, they just say F4, so we will assume that's fielder in position 4. That's second baseman. Throws the ball and attempts to throw to fielder in position 3, which is the first baseman. For the double play on R1, who is off on the hit. So we had the runner heading towards second, line drive is caught. So the throw is a bad throw, is errant, and enters dead ball territory, like into the dugout. After R1 continues and touches first base, or after the ball enters the dead ball territory, R1 continues and touches first base. What's the correct ruling? So first, it's good to note that in this reference, 843E, that whenever the ball is thrown and an overthrow, an unintentional throw goes into dead ball territory, like over the fence or through the fence or into the dugout, then we have a ruling. We have a dead ball, and you give the runners two bases from the last base they touched legally at the time of the throw. Well, we have a player here between first and second, but they were going back towards first. So are there two bases first and then second? Or the two bases, because the last one they touched legally was first, is it second and third? And the answer is it's second and third. So R1, the runner, is awarded second and third base, which is two bases from the time of the throw. Now, the runner does need to go tag up at first in order to not be called out on the appeal play. However, they first doesn't count as one of the two bases that they get. They would tag up first and then go to second and then go to third in order. So that's what the correct ruling would be, is you would just award the player third. You wouldn't tell the player, you got to go touch first. You have to go touch first, and then you can go to third. You would just tell the runner, you get awarded third. If the runner does not retouch first, then the defense has an appeal and can still get that out. That's a messy one. All right. Number 20. R1 is on first base and a ground ball is hit between first and second base. R1 is instructed by the first baseman. First baseman's in their way, not making a play on the ball, so we have obstruction, and was obstructed while leading off. So R1, the runner, subsequently interferes with the second baseman who's attempting to make a play on the ground ball, a fair batted ball. The offensive coach has a delay dead ball option, or does the offensive coach have a delay dead ball option to take the result of the play or penalty for the defensive obstruction, resulting in the runner going to second and the batter runner going to first? This is the correct decision by the umpire, and that is false. The obstruction protects the runner in between first and second from being put out by the defense, but it does not protect the runner from their own actions like missing a base, interfering with a player. It can't negate those things. So it only protects them from a play by the defense on that runner. So in that case, the interference is enforced and the runner is called out for interference. So allowing the runner to go on to second is false. It is incorrect decision. Number 21, with the bases loaded and two outs, B6 hits an over the fence home run, a dinger. The runner on first base misses third base after all runners have touched home plate. Now remember, this is bases loaded. So the runner on third scores, the runner on second scores, the runner on first goes all the way around and scores, but missed third. And then the batter goes all the way around, hits all the bases, and then scores. The runner, let's see, after all runners have touched home plate, the defense appeals that the runner from first missed third base. What do you do with that? Because that is going to be, it's a correct appeal. That runner is going to be out because they did miss third base. But what do we do about all the runs? So this is where it gets messy. The runner from first base is called out because they missed third base. However, because the runner from first was not forced to third base, they started on first base, so their only force was to second. They didn't have to run any farther than that, but they did. When the third out is not a force out, then all previous runs score. That runner is out for out number 3, which means the batter who was trailing does not score. So we take away the runner from first score, we take away the batter score, but the first two runs do score. It's a different question if that runner from first missed second and they appealed that because that's a force out, or that is an out that would have been a force out. And when your third out is a force out, no runs can score at all. That would have wiped everything out. But that wasn't the case. So we have a non-force out previous run score. That run and trailing runs do not. B, the runner from first base is called out and 2 runs score. By the way, I'll remind everyone that when you get to the actual test, these answers will be randomly ordered, so it won't always be B. You must look for the wording. Number 22. So I will tell you right now that this question is new this year, and I didn't have it on my test, and the question is flawed, in my opinion. So let's take a look at it. When a runner interferes and prevents a fielder from catching a routine fly ball, fair or foul, with ordinary effort, what do you do? So here we have, in reference to Rule 8, Article or Section 6, Article 10. And there's a lot here about runner interference. So first of all, we call the runner out. We do not call the batter out because the batter isn't the one who interfered. We don't call the batter out. However, Article 10 says, let's see, 8, 6, 10, here we are. The runner interferes, A, with the fielder attempting to make initial play on a fair batted ball, which we would possibly have, with the fielder attempting to field a fly ball over foul territory, which we also might have, the fielder attempting to throw the ball, and intentional with the fielder. When you take so all of those are definitions of a runner interfering, and this is under the section the runner is out. So we call the runner out. But in the penalty, it says the ball is dead and the runner is out. If interference occurs by the runner on a foul fly ball, the runner is out and the ball is dead. A foul ball is called in this situation and the batter remains at bat. Unless that would otherwise have resulted in out. But so A is true and C is also true. A foul ball is called on the batter if the ball was foul. However, the only combo answer you're given is both A and B are correct. My guess is that this should have said both A and C are correct, but that is not what it says. It's not what it says in the guide. I will show you the guide as we were given it here. It gives runner out, batter out, and then a foul ball called, and both A and B are correct. And that's the guide. So it has two correct answers. And I did not have this question on my test, so I have no idea what answer they're expecting. I would be happy to hear from somebody who had this question and could tell me. But my suggestion is that you just call it number A. Call the runner out. We know that one is for sure, always, in every case, going to be true. So 22, the way I'm reading it, and all this is a flawed question, a bad question. Good luck with that. But we're money on the rest of them, so at worst, you only miss one question. 23. Batter number 2 hits a grounder to fielder number 6. That'll be the shortstop, whose throw to fielder 3, which would be first base, is not in time to retire B2. In other words, B2 gets there before the throw is caught. However, B2, who has not been called out, leaves the baseline and heads for the dugout. Like they just think, oh, you got me, I'm out, and they're heading to the dugout. At what time, and this is as you would read onto the question, at what time would that player be called out? So A, the umpire should call time and direct the batter runner to return to first base. Nope, we would not do that. We don't coach batter runners. We just watch what they do. That's up to the coach and the players to take care of that. B, the batter runner has abandoned first base and thus is declared out. Well, that's kind of true. However, that is not the point at which you would call them out just because they're heading in that direction. You wouldn't do that yet. That's not what the rule says. C, the batter runners crossed the baseline towards the dugout and ruled out, so they've gone from fair territory to foul. That is not the rule. That has nothing to do with it. D is correct. The batter runner, once they enter the dugout or they go into dead ball territory, they are ruled out. In the Federation rules, it says as soon as the player abandons a base and goes into dead ball territory, they're called out. In USA rules, it says if a player abandons a base which they were legally awarded or had legally earned, and they go into dead ball territory, then they're called out. But they have to actually leave the field of play. And you would watch as an umpire, and you would watch that player, and you would give coaches a chance to get him back. You would give players a chance to tell them. But as soon as they 100% enter dead ball territory, then you have an out. And you would signal that, and you would call it. And then you would explain to the coach what is going on. And that actually, as soon as they have 1 foot, as soon as they put 1 foot into the dugout, they've entered dead ball territory. So they would be out. We would not coach them. We would not tell them. And that's Rule 8619. By the way, sometimes we have batters who earn a second strike, but they think they've earned a third strike. And they pick up their bat and they head to their dugout. Even if the player got into the dugout, you would not call them out because they abandoned the field. They don't have a base. The rule says specifically that they must abandon a base and enter dead ball territory. Just because they think they have 3 strikes and they don't, they can't abandon their at bat. So you would just call them back out of the dugout, and you would say, "Nope, get back out here. You have only 2 strikes." We would not say they're out because they entered the dugout. when they're at bat. Once they're on a base, they enter a dugout or any dead ball territory. They're out as soon as they enter dead ball territory. 24. In the top of the first inning, Team A uses A1 as a courtesy runner for the pitcher. In the sixth inning, Team A wants to use A1 as a courtesy runner for the catcher. If you read Rule 891, you will see that this is illegal. Courtesy runners may be used for the pitcher and catcher, but the same courtesy runner may not be used for both. I'm going to compress that. So once A1 has courtesied for a pitcher, A1 can only courtesy run for a pitcher for the rest of the game. They cannot also courtesy for a catcher at any point. They can only courtesy run for a pitcher. It can be any player who's the pitcher of record, but it has to be the pitcher of record. So, illegal. And question 25. The designated player, the DP, is batting for the pitcher. The flex, that is the normal arrangement. They're in the lineup to bat. The flex is in the 10 spot to play defense, in this case pitching. So that's just kind of how that works. But in the fourth inning, the DP reaches base safely, and the coach reports the flex will replace the DP. So that's an offensive position, which means the flex goes from the 10th spot up into the lineup where the DP was. The DP then is going to head to the dugout, and the DP is out of the game. The coach then requests a courtesy runner for the pitcher because the flex is the one who is pitching. By the way, all of that action is a legal substitution. However, the courtesy runner cannot come out for the pitcher because rules 895 and especially 892, which says the pitcher catcher must bat and or earn their place on base. So in this particular case, it was the DP that batted and earned the spot on the base, and the pitcher was just brought in as a substitution for that. So therefore, courtesy runner is illegal since the pitcher did not earn her way on base. She cannot have a courtesy runner. And that's what you would do when the coach says, I want a courtesy for my pitcher. And you would say, you can't, coach. The pitcher did not earn their way on base. So very rare that instance might come up, but it could. Well, there you go. Those are the questions, all of them, for the 201 test, except for question 22 about that interference and over foul territory. Except for that question, that's going to be an interesting one. But the rest, we got them locked down. So, see you in training.